for us. Moving on to the next session, we have seen a huge spike in MedTech innovations and very frugal innovations, and also some people call it jugadified. So most of these innovations coming in the last 1 or 2 months have started the market, very useful, and they are fragmented. Now we have Mr. Nitesh Jangir from Coeo Labs talking about the role of India medical technology innovations to fight the COVID at global scale, not just in India. And to moderate the session, we have Vibhor Bansal, Software Products Vertical Lead from NASSCOM. Over to you, Vibhor.
Thank you, Raghu. Thanks a lot. This has been a quite interesting session since morning. First, Devi Shetty, then Abhishek, and again, they're talking about variety of stuff, and Dr. Devi Shetty was, of course, no doubt, was brilliant. And guys, next we have Nitesh Jangir. Nitesh Jangir is founder and director of Coeo Labs. He was featured as 30 under 30 in Forbes for Asia Pacific in HealthTech space last year. Coeo Labs has also been featured in NASSCOM's Emerge 50 Awards and Deep Tech Club. I will not take much of a time here. I will leave it to I'll leave it to Nitesh. And Nitesh, the topic is very interesting, and everybody would be interested. How can we utilize this Indian MedTech innovation at global scale? Over to you. Would appreciate if you could, switch on your camera and your internet bandwidth allows. Thank you. Over to you, Nitesh.
Hi, Vibhor, having some internet issues, so webcam may not work properly. But thank you, whole NASSCOM team, Mr. Batra, Mr. Said, Vibhor, and everyone for inviting me. And I'm here. I'm going to talk about an interesting segment of healthcare, MedTech innovations, or overall MedTech industry, which are largely neglected by overall both government as well as by investors or everyone. And COVID brought it into attention of everyone, that how important this MedTech industry is. Just before I talk next, I would like to you guys are able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So just some key stats about Indian medical device industry. If you see, in India, 70% of our patient population can't afford healthcare services in private care settings. And even if people can afford, especially a critical care or any super specialty care, they can afford it only with really high, significant financial stress. Most of care is actually being delivered by private sectors, but the single entity which deliver the most amount of care is still a government. So one of the key aspects of overall healthcare delivery is medical devices. The way we have progressed a lot in drugs and biotech industry, and then we are becoming supplier of whole world, as you are seeing, even with the hydrochloroquine and other drugs India is supplying. This is the total opposite case in India in terms of medical devices. We import 75% of medical devices, and I'm not talking about complex medical devices like CT scan machine. Now you might be hearing things like mask, essential PPEs, or even normal suction tubings. Everything we are importing here. Most of these innovations are not designed for low resource settings, and even our Indian manufacturers, they are not even 60% of them don't sell in India. They are exporting these innovations. the idea is that right now, or even India is in a huge need of having, as Dr. Devi shared, affordable, accessible innovations, which can be adapted to our setting and really useful here. So one of the question we had around 4 years back, that why we are still relying on devices which are not made in India, and what's so complex about medical device innovation that we are not doing it a lot. So one of the key issue what we realized through our research is why we are not innovating a lot in medical technology sector or hardcore medical devices side is it's truly interdisciplinary. The way Dr. Shetty talked that many times we engineers, we sit in our rooms or sit in our labs and think that doctors might need this solution, or a hospital might need this solution, or even a patient might need this solution, and then we developed it, and then we go and there is a lot of PR about, and then but ultimately none of these reaches to the hospitals, and hospitals or doctors do not buy it because of XYZ reasons. So, and other the way our system has been designed, I know I'm an engineer and I am not trained to work with I'm electronics engineer, I'm not trained to work with a mechanical engineer. So working with doctors, working with social activists, working with nurses, working with hospital administration, their management in this whole multiple stakeholder environment, and then creating a solution which fulfills everyone's need is really a critical aspect of medical device design. And somehow we have not been trained into this segment. Other thing, because this here when especially from last 2-3 months we are seeing a lot of innovations are coming, but the medical device innovation or medtech innovations are at cutting edge in terms of not just by the design or technology which they are using, but also the kind of testing they go through, because it's about somebody's life. We are seeing many ventilators are popping up, many things are popping out, but then through my work, I keep on talking to doctors, I keep on talking to someone like Dr. Devi Shetty or his ICU team or other ICU teams, and all of them say that we are not going to use these solutions, because according to them these are not tested well. These are not the means people have seen designs on website and they are just designing it. They never even come to a doctor and ask that whether this is the solution which is going to work for this specific disease condition. So and then many of these solutions are not been tested. Dr. Devi Shetty also said, especially in this kind of scenario, we need solutions which are tested well and already validated that they can work without any intervention or without any failure, because we don't have resources to handle these failures, and there is no excuse for these failures. These failures can be really fatal in scenario like COVID or in any critical care scenario. Other really important aspect of overall healthcare or medical device innovation is clinical trials. Again, many of the devices, many of these solutions require clinical trials that adds lot of time. And overall, a medical device innovation cycle in usual time from idea to a commercialization product takes somewhere around three and a half years, and that involves around 1.5 year of hardcore clinical testing. So there is no stone turns around that by any mistake or by that we don't know aspect of medical device which is not safe safe for the as any specific group of patient. That's why clinical testing becomes really important. It adds time as well as money. And one segment which is coming up a lot in India, and we are very few people have good understanding, which is overall regulatory aspect in India. It's coming up. Government has said that by 2020, by end of 2020, we should have all medical devices regulated in India. The good thing that our medical device standards are mostly harmonized with the most developed country, as well as if we follow them, our solution would be harmonized with the more and more developing countries which are getting their own regulatory framework. So having a regulatory framework is really good. It's opposite to what most people usually get afraid of that regulatory something which we should not go. But then being someone who is in
Hello, Nitish. It looks like we're losing you. Raghu, you're on mute. I think you're trying to say something which is on mute.
I'm just saying, is this from the speaker?
That,
The back?
that
No?
that's Nitish. Nitish, we are not able to hear you. If you're listening, you may please uh, check it out. Looks like his screen frozen and he's trying to restart uh, or he's trying to fix this system. Meanwhile, I have a small request for all the attendees by the time Nitesh comes in and my colleagues connects with him and bring him online. Uh, uh, Raghu, what do you think? Like Nitesh was talking about, this MedTech regulatory approvals are going. Indian ecosystem is very opt for the globally scale development as well because our regulatories are very far harmonized with the developed economies. I think this is a very good sign and a positive impact for Indian entrepreneurs to build MedTech out of India.
Very much true, Vibhor. The recent developments, at least last 2 months, we have seen two, three things which have happened. One is the speed at which the regulatory has given approvals for the clinical trials. So every day, either for a vaccine or a medicine development clinical trial or a testing kit. That's very heartening. So there's pace at which they have been approaching this applications. That will be a very good sign for us to in the next few years. Second is also about the
hello.
classification of the devices. That also is going to be very useful because most of the medical devices are still not really fitting into the 23, which got expanded to a little more like a number of items. Now, with a specific Medical Devices Regulation Act under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act, it's very welcoming for most of the entrepreneur to really look at the medical devices plus AI-based solutions to improve faster. Having said that, we still have a few regulatory challenges with respect to various other regulatory bodies like BIS coming and trying to approve the medical. I think there is a lot of work happening between ICMR, BIS, and the CDSCO to provide a good speed, and the government is also realized the need for it, and a special committee has been constituted and NASSCOM is actively working along with that body to speed up this process. Thank you. Nitesh, are you
Thank you.
on
Thank you.
screen?
It looks like Nitesh is back, so let's hear it from him if he's back and able to present. We have I think few minutes left, so we can still have if he's available.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Nitesh, if you
Nihal,
want, I can
sorry,
run your slides
I had
from my
some.
side. If you want, I can run
Yeah,
your
yeah, it
slides
would be
from my
great.
side.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
a
that
sec.
would be useful. Can you? Yeah.
You have to guide me which slide should I go to.
Yeah, just go to the clinical trials one. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Here you go. Can you see this?
So,
Yes,
Vibhor,
I can
just
see.
4 more minutes before the session changes, including the Q&A. I request you to speed
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, I
Yes,
think
yes. So then
we should get with the Nitesh's slide, and we may have to skip the Q&A. Folks can connect with him on Twitter as well. I'll share details. Let's see how if we can cover it in next 5 minutes.
perfect, Vibhor. Thank you. I'm sorry for this technical issue. Yeah. So I was at the regulatory side. So in India right now, most devices are not regulated. It's both good and bad thing. Good thing is that these are not regulated, so quickly you can test your solution, validate it, follow international guidelines, and take it to the patient. But bad thing is that most doctors and hospitals want some kind of approval or a validation that your product works. That's why regulatory approval is really needed. Uh, so that, but my advice would be right now, people who are making quick solutions specifically for critical care, test it well. Test with the third-party NABL certified lab. There are international standards already available. Make sure your solution meets those requirements, and then only go and touch the hospital or patients. You can do this next slide. Yeah. The overall process of medical device development, if you go through all the proper route, proper testing, and the design, development, manufacturing cost a lot. And then we are seeing even at the investor community as well as overall industry is not much upcoming for the medical investment in medical devices. So it's not just because it consumes money, it consumes time, and then still it has a lot of uncertainty, especially with the domestic market. So that this is one of the biggest challenge we are seeing in the industry. We go next slide. So the designing medical devices for India is, again, it's quite different than if you are designing a medical device for any other developed country, because our out-of-pocket expenditure is really high. Our market is really driven by the doctors instead of the system itself. For example, if I'm designing a solution in US, I'm validating it through a clinical trial, and through that clinical trial, if my results have been coming out really well as compared to existing treatment arm or an existing solution, uh, most hospitals will automatically adopt it. But that's not the case in India. We still need to look after many other stakeholders to make sure that these products get adopted. Our healthcare system, especially public healthcare system, is dependent on the state, and it varies a lot with the state to state, which you might see a huge difference from Kerala to UP. And our overall healthcare system is more treatment oriented. So what we are seeing now is that of solutions which are preventive or technology which are more into preventive side are not getting adopted really well. People are focusing more and more on treatment. We go next slide. So this was the question. Everyone, all of us wants to solve medical problem. All of us wants to say help people, but then there are so many problems. Still, we get this question that why should we innovate new medical devices? You can next slide. Yeah. You can skip to next slide. Yeah. So the overall my big advice right now and what's happening really in the overall healthcare industry because of COVID, a lot of need is coming for medical devices. A lot of solutions are coming up, but then many of these solutions are not going through the process of medical device design and development. Actually, there is a huge need of a process in regulated industry, which makes sure that whatever comes out of overall design, research and development, as well as manufacturing process is safe and effective, and does meet the criteria defined by the clinical societies or by the international standards. That's where we need a medical device design process. Go next. So one of the most important aspects, and especially looking at the current scenarios, is the testing of the solution, which are coming up. We are seeing a lot of ambu bag based ventilators. Ventilators are coming up. We are seeing a lot of PPEs are coming up, and we are constantly getting reports that these devices are not working properly. PPEs are getting failed. The diagnostic devices which we are getting are not diagnosing properly. The main reason behind it that these are not validated and tested as per the quality defined by the clinicians as well as the standards they have to meet. So the concept validation as well as the overall product validation plays really important role in medical device industry. This is not something which we are making for consumer devices. This is really serious industry and require a lot more attention on the testing, validation, and quality of the product which is coming out of your design process. So, Vibhor, you can skip this. Again, you can skip. Yeah. So, the product requirements for everyone who is working in healthcare and medical device development or wants to design solutions. For most medical products, there are international standards available. Even if we don't have Indian standard, I urge you to go through those international standards of quality, and then make sure that your solutions meet those quality standards. Either those are solution related to biocompatibility, and those standards are related to your oxygenation, gas. Even there are standards related to EMR. Even standards are related to AI. So almost for most medical devices, there are standards available. Please go through them. You can. If I understand many of these standards are expensive to buy, please connect with me. I have a way where we can get it free of cost or even at a really low cost. Many of these standards are available at BIS at few hundred rupees.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Can we skip? Can we go to the next one? And again, skip this one. Yeah. So yeah.
Nitesh, you
Again, we
have
can
to.
skip. Yeah. So we can skip this part also. Not. Yeah. Just so overall, many of you guys who wants to invent new medical devices or especially wants to solve healthcare problem, because initial cost of research and development in this industry is really high. Government is helping a lot. Department of Biotechnology, Department of Science and Technology, Technology Development Board have, and many other organizations have research grants available. If you have a compelling need, if you have a solution which can solve a big problem, especially focusing in India. So these there are organizations which can fund you, support you in terms of grant as well as in terms of equity funding. So I have listed down few, but then if you can connect with me, I'll connect you with more. So, so these are again few more organizations like BMGF. Some of these devices I have mentioned, I don't have much of time left, but these are many innovations which are in India, which are not serving just patients in India, but they are going globally. Because one biggest advantage being in India, innovating for India, because we are innovating for low resource settings. Whatever we develop here can easily be replicated in most other countries, either those are developed or those are developing countries. There are solutions like Porus, there are Agua ventilator, Maxio, one of our device, WebCare. It's recently got installed at Harvard Medical School to get to treat patients, COVID patients over there. So whatever we innovate here, and if we follow the international guidelines and standards to design development as well as manufacture, there's a huge potential we are seeing across the globe. Because especially in the developing countries, the more and more developed nations are closing their doors to export equipments to developing countries, and it can become a big opportunity for India. We are working very closely with governments in Ghana and other places where no country is supplying basic medical equipment to them, and then they are looking after countries like India the way they are looking after India as a drug. They are also looking after India to supply even these medical equipment. And if we can supply them, this is a good opportunity for us, both which can help us not just our economy, but also it can help overall humanity. Thank you all.
Nitesh. I think this is quite motivating and interesting for people to know that how can we leverage Indian environment to motivate and scale at the at the global level. Unfortunately, we do not have enough time to take audience question, and I will encourage folks in the audience to put up questions for Nitesh on the Twitter. and he will respond to them. He has promised us. I have shared those details, the hashtags, etc., that you can utilize to ask questions for Nitesh. Over to you, Raghu, for the next session. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Nitesh.